Hey, Mr. Parka here, and I want to try something new, a little different actually. There's so many movies being released, and movies I will have reviewed years ago, and then they get a new release, and they're new to everybody else, but I got an online screener and things like that, so I don't want to keep reviewing the same movies over and over again. I think it's kind of weird, and it's just kind of a waste of time for me as a reviewer, and also it's kind of like I'm double dipping and a waste of time for you guys to watch the same review twice. But I also want to kind of let you guys know that the new edition has been released and the differences on the editions and things like that. You can finally pick this movie up. So I'm going to call these new videos recent releases that have come out. These will be movies I have already reviewed in the past, either whether on a digital screener or a screener copy or an old edition that is outdated now. And these are going to be, 3 to 5 movies that have come out recently or are coming out very shortly that have had a new release. The first, they will be from multiple companies in random different places, so bear with me. The first one will be Sledge, which I reviewed a long time ago, actually a couple of years ago, and it's Brain Damage Films picked this up. This is kind of like a parody slasher film. It's self-aware. It's about this girl at home watching a late-night horror movie, and what happens is, she starts to watch the movie unfold, and you go inside the movie and you become part of the movie. It follows this killer named Adam Lynch, who carries this big sledgehammer. He does wisecracking jokes and things like that, and honestly, he's the highlight of the movie. Without him, there is no movie. They create this kind of fun slasher movie that's cheesy and goofy. It points a lot of the side characters. I think they're supposed to be unlikable. They're annoying. They're douchey. They do stupid, idiotic things. It gets on my nerves a bit, not going to lie. The gore effects aren't anything top-notch or anything like that, but there's this mentally handicapped character who's kind of funny in there. It's kind of a staple in slasher movies. They have this like stupid mentally handicapped character nowadays, or even back in the past, it's like a parody. But I enjoy the killer. That's all I'll say. I think the killer is really fun, and I think that people will enjoy watching this one due to the killer, actually. It's short, and the killer's got a great weapon, and it's kind of funny. I'm not the hugest fan of the film. On the second viewing, I felt that... some of the bad things to me stood out a little bit more, but I think that, the characters were just like, all right, I get it. But the killer will save a lot of people. It'll win them over, and I think it's worth giving a spin just for that reason alone. I think that people can find something to like with this killer. Lots of funny one-liners and things like, "Looks like retirement came early, huh, bitch?" The opening's really great and fun, and I kind of am on the fence about the movie as a whole. But I think that when it was released, it was kind of a little bit newer. I know it's not anything new, and it's been doing it for years, but it wasn't as embedded in my brain, this kind of self-aware slasher movie that I've seen a million times in the past few years. But this one, like I said, was made 3 years ago, and it's finally just getting a broad DVD release. So if that sounds interesting to you guys, it's a self-aware homage parody slasher movie with a wisecracking sledgehammer welding serial slasher. So that's self-aware of the movie and knows that he's in a movie, or thinks he's in a movie, which is kind of fun. So it's up to you. I'm leaning towards yes. And then we have Skinless, which I had a part of. I had a small role in it, and this is a good friend of mine, Dustin Mills, finally getting released by Whacked Pictures, which is Glenn Coburg's company. He released stuff like Legend of the Hillbilly Butcher and Blackface Killer. Blackface Killer is really cool. And you know what? Being biased towards Dustin and things like that, I think this is one of his best pictures, Skinless. And for a while, it was hard to get. It was kind of hard to find. And I honestly think Skinless is one of Dustin Mills' best films. It's got a lot of gooey, stuff in there. It's about a doctor, Peter Peele, who goes skinless, of course, and formerly known as Ballad of Skinless Pete, and he goes on this rampage kind of thing. He loses his skin, and he also loses his sanity. This worm is inside of him, and it's controlling him to feast and things like that. Aaron Ryan's also in it as well with Brandon Salkiel, and those two together do a really great job bringing this movie forward. Lots of lens flares and things that the film gets crazier visually as it goes on, and it definitely has little splices of The Fly, Invisible Man, Incredible Melting Man, those 50s style sci-fi body horror things, old 80s body horror mixed with the 50s science fiction style stuff. I enjoy it. I like it a lot. It was made on a dirt cheap budget, and it doesn't show, and that's a good thing because I think this one's really well done and really well acted by the two main leads. And then we have Unearth's film Collar, which I reviewed the VHS of this. This is from Unearth Films, which is Stephen Bureau's company, and they released. They've like faded away for a long time. It was like they hadn't released anything in a long time, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom, all these movies are coming out. And this is Ryan Nicholson's Collar. You guys should be familiar with Ryan Nicholson. He did tons of movies from Gutterballs to Famine to Hanger, all sorts of things. But yeah. Collar, the first spin, I watched it on VHS, and the sound was horrible. The sound was actually dreadful. I remember turning it up 100% and still getting really close to hear what the dialogue was, and most of the time I just would hear music. The picture quality was also made to look like a VHS, so it was really grainy, really, you know, kind of a shout-out to the shot-on-video movies. What this DVD doesn't have is the introduction by Ryan Nicholson, but it does have some trailers and things like that. With the better picture quality, you can see some of the gore effects, but the Collar is a really mean-spirited movie. The plot follows this homeless guy named Massive who lives behind like in a cardboard box, this big like shanty cardboard box, and he pretty much rapes any woman that comes in contact with him and kills anybody else that comes in contact with him. He has this horrible tortured past. He was molested by a priest, which, you know how I get on that. That's just like the go-to, why is this guy crazy, molested by a priest? It's the go-to staple, and I think that the movie would work better without the flashbacks. I think just seeing him do these crazy things that you could guess why he was like that, and I think that would have worked better, but the priest stuff is in there, and I'm not a fan of it, but and with black and white flashbacks and things like that. But the guy who plays Massive does an interesting serial killer. He's scary, he's really deranged, and he does some pretty intense things. I think him and the lead female cop are pretty good actors and actresses. But a lot of the other side characters are not very good. Maybe it's just the characters so over the top. The hipsters, especially the lead hipster, who these guys carry around this camera, and they're doing kind of a bum fights thing, but they go further and further and trying to make their own like faces of death for real and things like that. And there's a twist involving one of them at the end that I thought was even a bit ridiculous for this one. But yeah, I'm just not sure on that guy's character or his acting. It's something about him, man. I know he's supposed to be dislikable, but man, I really did not like it. I really did not like him, I guess I should say. He was just kind of weird. His lines came off kind of clunky at points. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe they're just really weird lines to deliver in that kind of situation. But like I said, man, this movie is really, really freaking mean-spirited. The gore is cartoony, though, which is really odd. It cuts away pretty fast, too. Like, there'll be a jaw rip-off, eyes bulging, things like that. Somebody broken in half, wrestling style. But it's just kind of a really gross and mean-spirited movie with cartoony violence, which is really odd. There's some moments in here that I really liked. I really like some of the effects that you do see. I do like some of the craziness about it, but it's kind of really, I'm not sure how I feel 100% on this one. I like the locations. I like the main killer. He's a scary guy. It does seem like a lot of the characters are introduced really fast and don't flesh out that much. And some do, some don't. The kill count's fairly high for the small cast is pretty much all dismembered in this movie. So it's really mean-spirited and bloody and gross, and it's a Ryan Nicholson movie. I've always loved Gutterballs. I always like Hanger and things like that. This movie is very strange. Some weird-looking makeup and things like that, almost Hanger style. But if you guys are big Nicholson fans, I think you'll enjoy this one. It's one of my least favorite of his, but like I said, it's interesting enough to give a couple spins and determine yourself because it's so out there. But that is Collar. Lots of nasty, there's some rape in here that's pretty extreme and things like that. Like I said, it's odd to see the cartoony violence with such extreme depravity involved. Crazy movie. And then we have another Unearthed title, which is Morris County. I reviewed this a while back, and this is by Matt Garrett. It's also by Unearthed Films. I'll have release dates for all of them when they popped up. But Morris County is like a trilogy of films about the kind of underside, the underbelly of America. The stories they were made over different times, and they gradually show the progression of this filmmaker's career. The first is about a girl on a downspin, and you find out why she's doing this to herself, a young girl in high school. And there's lots of awkward, creepy moments in it, and by the end you understand what is happening and why she did what she did. did, and you really can't blame her in a lot of ways. I mean, her upbringing and things that happen, and her naiveness and things like that. The first one's pretty damn good. The second one's the one that steals the show for me. It involves a guy who has a very, very dark secret that will be the ruin of his family, and a lot of his son also has his own troubles of his own. But this one's truly great, and I think it does. I don't want to give too much away, but it really shows what can happen to somebody when society, you know, kind of pushes against them and doesn't want them around in a lot of ways, or they think that doesn't want them around. Love the second one. The ending is something that is a big gut punch. Really kind of, whoa. Even when I rewatched it, I was still kind of shocked at the ending of this one, and I actually really love it, and I think it's great. This movie always compared to family portraits, a trilogy by Douglas Buck, which I have not watched. I've had it for years and I still haven't watched it, so I know a lot of people say they're very similar films. So if you like that, I imagine you would like this. And the final story involves an old woman, which is also another kind of sad truth to America about, you know, kind of the old people after they're done and retired. It's like we forget about them. We don't want anything to do with them. And she retires. The first day of her retirement, her husband dies and leaves her alone. And she can't live with being left alone, being left with her own thoughts and her own depression and things like that. That's as far as I'm going to go with that one. Also very great as well, and very gross. This DVD actually includes 2 commentaries, which is awesome, and it includes a short called Beating Hearts, which I have not which I hadn't seen until I watched this DVD, and that was a pretty also fits the line with the 3 Stories Morris County. It's pretty disturbing and pretty downbeat as well, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. Again, about another family tragedy. It tends to be like his, you know, his calling, kind of these horrible tragedies or something like that. Like he almost could have directed the movie Red, White, and Blue, stuff like that. But yeah, these 4 films here, these 2 by Unearthed, Collar and Morris County. This one by Whacked Movies, which is Skinless. Skinless also has a commentary and some production diaries on it as well, and I believe that Sledge even has a commentary on it as well. So, and Sledge by Brain Damage Films. These are the 4 I've chosen. These are new releases that are coming out shortly or have been recently released that I have already reviewed and wanted to pay. If you guys are looking to get these or seen the review and wondering where can I get this, finally there you go. So let me say I'd give a thumbs up to Skinless for sure, and Morris County. Collar and Sledge are, you know, mixed bags for me. But thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.